Hello, everyone. Welcome to this special edition of In the Moment. I am your hardcore host, Rick Head, and I am joined by the classic wrestling manager, Joseph Knight. Joe, we're going to talk about the new manager that's going to be for this SmackDown brand, as with the SmackDown and Raw is doing the brand split or draft, whatever you want to call it. And there's been a lot of talk of who that new manager is going to be. Uh, Joe, right now, I want to give you a couple of one of your picks. Who would you think would be the SmackDown manager?
There's no doubt it has to be Shane McMahon. In my opinion, you want to do the McMahon versus McMahon thing, and to have Shane O'Mac on one and Stephanie run the other, especially with the brand split, you couldn't go wrong because it'll be strict competition between each other. And I think that's the route they need to go.
Well, you know what?
It'd be better off than having "Excuse me."
Well, see, I want to, and that's why I want to cut you off because we've seen so many people come back from like former general managers come on and vied for that spot. You know what? That's just entertainment to keep people guessing. So any of those who was on the microphone, to me, are off the table. You know, um, Now, you say Shane and Stephanie McMahon, or Shane should go right over to SmackDown. I disagree, and I'm going to tell you why. As we all know, for the past couple weeks, or past couple of months, there's been this underlying sibling rivalry of control. So I think you'd want to keep that on Raw to keep that storyline. Now, if I had to put somebody in there, I would put in Triple H. And I'll tell you why. For a very similar reason. Instead of sibling rivalry, why not have an issues between a marriage? You know, Triple H is running SmackDown, Stephanie's running Raw, and they kind of you can see them having these little arguments in the back, saying, "Come on, I'm just trying to do my job. We're just trying to make the company better." Do you see that as a possibility?
To be honest, I don't. The reason being is Triple H already everybody knows he runs NXT. And as a family product, let's put it that way, as a family product, they don't probably want to do that type of storyline. I think they're just gonna do just stick to I believe the Shane McMahon Stephanie McMahon scenario over that. They want to promote that they're family, they're nice, there's nothing going on. I think that's what they're looking to kind of promote more of.
I tend to disagree with you, but you know what? You've made your opinion. I made my opinion on that, and like I said, uh, so let's talk about some of the other possibilities. Now, there's been recent talk of Kurt Angle coming back. Now, nothing's been confirmed, so again, this is just, way out of left field, which is, I think that's where our manager's going to come. It's going to come out from out of nowhere. Nobody's going to suspect it. Now, as we know, Kurt Angle's he's leaving TNA, he's been talking with WWE. Now, Kurt Angle was a general manager over on TNA. If he came back to WWE, we wouldn't see him as a wrestler, so could we see him as a manager and maybe as a swift kick to the nuts to TNA once again?
Oh, absolutely. It would be funny in a sense that him coming in and trying to take over and kind of says he's going to do a better job than a certain woman. I think in a way that would really be the ball hitter. I think that in itself would be something funny. And as much as Dixie is not a threat. Let's clear the air, Rick, a little bit here. Dixie Carter and TNA is not a threat to the WWE, but to the WWE, they want to control wrestling because if it's not their wrestling, it's bad wrestling. And compared to some of the stuff I've seen in the indie circuit, yes, it is. And Rick, right before we end this, I'm going to talk about Adam Rose appearing on various indies. But let's continue with your topic.
All right. Now, another person that people have been suggesting, who was also a previous manager, was Eric Bischoff. And again, I don't see him coming back. Only for the obvious reasons is that he has his own company that he's running. He came back and he did that interview. Obviously, he will still be a legend of the company, maybe even in the Hall of Fame one day. But I don't see him coming back on as an active role. He didn't even want the active role when he was in TNA.
You know what? I think we already seen Eric Bischoff in that role.
Exactly.
We've seen him on Raw. I think the high profile here's the thing. It's like having Paul Heyman run SmackDown. He'll
E-
turn it into ECW.
Exactly.
We already seen the Teddy Long version. I think we've seen the Vicky Guerrero version. I think what's going to come out, if it's not Shane, it's going to be somebody totally unexpected. And like you said, Kurt Angle could be that leading candidate if it's not Shane.
Exactly, and like I said, I agree with you, Bischoff. Any previous manager should be off the table. But again, I wrote a few, and I wrote some thoughts, and even the percentile chance. Now, um, if I really have to put another one in, this is another, and I know how you're gonna feel about this. Is I was thinking about maybe even Nikki Bella. She's out with a neck injury. She had a CAT scan, but her future's still not clear. Could we see the Bellas do like a Bella Power type thing, which would also promote their talk show, their new like reality TV series?
Oh God, hope not. Uh, you know, the Bellas, they're only good eye candy. And if it wasn't for John Cena or Daniel Bryan, they wouldn't be anywhere close to anything.
Yeah. Now, Matt Creel, who is in our HWR chat room, that's over on Facebook.com in the group section, HWR chat room, he said a dark horse could be JBL, but I'm going to tell you who my dark horse could be. Michael Cole. Now, right now, there's a lot of extra commentators coming in. Mauro Ronaldo, excuse me, I keep on mispronouncing his name. I can see him coming over to Raw and being the center guy. And then have Cole come in as a manager. I mean, I personally don't care for him as a commentator, but as a spokesperson, I think he'd be able to conduct himself. He was a semi-manager when they did that whole mystery manager on Raw, and it was a laptop, and they had so he's teased that spot, but he's never really been in that spot.
You know what? I'm going to throw out a real dark horse, in my opinion. And they do have him on the contract. And he went out not in a great way. I have to say Sting. This is another plug against Dixie Carter by having a guy who was under her care or under her promotion that did have some power as a general manager in TNA, however, however power that was.
Yeah.
But I think him, especially with the way he left, with his injuries and so forth. If Seth Rollins ever traveled to SmackDown and Sting is the SmackDown general manager, that could cause a lot of, interesting scenarios.
Possibly, but I think if Sting would come back, I think we would not see the Sting with the makeup. We'd see the Sting in the shirt and tie and the suit with the glasses on, no paint. We would see, the Steve Warden. So that, again, I did not even consider, and that would be a nice dark horse, a sideball. And I think that is another possibility. But once again, it's got to be a dark horse. It's gonna be somebody that nobody saw coming.
Well, we know one thing ain't gonna be the Hardys.
No kidding. I even for a second thought CM Punk or AJ Lee, and I'm like, no. But you know what, Joe? This is going to be the end of our draft pick. You said you wanted to talk about something real quick. Why don't you kick it in?
All right, well, my little spy network has told me about Adam Rose. Adam Rose has been basically man-whoring himself, however you want to call it that, out on the Northeast Indies. He's already appeared in the worst promotions ever. He's taken on a good talent. I can't deny the talent, the guy he took on, because the guy worked for me at times. Good talent. Promotion he chose to work in wasn't too good, but I could see it as a situation where he's just looking to make money. And here's another thing. Adam Rose also decided to cut his hair short. So he almost doesn't look like Adam Rose. And he's not going as Adam Rose, he's going as Aldo Rose.
Well,
so he doesn't look like Adam Rose. And let me just say, he's really, really going out there and getting what he can out of it, and which is good for him, But he's really digging in the bottom of the barrel, going to these companies that will pay him. It's not going to do his reputation any good, but at the same time, I gotta say, it's he's making the money off of these mark promoters.
Well, and even as you said in the past, when a wrestler leaves the WWE, there are marks out there that's going to spend that money on people. I mean, I don't want to use AJ Styles because AJ Styles has already been in the Indies and he made his name off the Indies. But you could take other wrestlers. I mean, even I hate to say it, Fandango could leave and could probably have those few mark promoters. Does that gonna do anything, as you said, for his reputation? No, but I mean, I can, maybe who knows that Adam Rose will probably eventually get signed up to, a more popular promotion, and the WWE might see something different. I mean, look at EC3. He was in NXT. He was green as grass. He went over to TNA, and he finally started. He developed very well. I could see something like that happening. I know it's off the subject. This is HWL. We always go fucking all over the fucking book, so we never always stick to one subject. But again, he proved himself. So who knows? I don't see Adam Rose coming back. I still think that they could have done the whole tag team with Curtis Axel, done as Axel Rose. That would have been funny. How long it would have lasted, don't know. But
It's what it's. I say kudos to him for going out there and getting, making the money, because it's when it's all boils down to it. If you're not in wrestling to make money, then you should not be in professional wrestling. Notice I said professional wrestling, not sports entertainment. But it's also about knowing that your name is not going to get drugged in the mud. They put like this: they had Adam Rose on this independent promotion that I'm not going to say, but he was on this promotion and they drew 50 people. They drew the same amount of money, the same amount of fans that they would draw even if they weren't in, if he wasn't even there. So it's kind of a, like I said, to me, I look at it, if you're going to go on the indie circuit, look to go to the real good, like Ring of Honor. I hate to even say TNA, but, it's a scenario that, you have to look into. And I think in this case, he's going to be looking into doing more of these indie circuits, and you're going to see him around. Another thing, Rick, I hate to put wrestlers in a spot, and again, I'm not putting names out. I recently heard that Adam Rose, or Aldo Rose now, he's going to work for another lousy East Coast promotion. And they're giving him a guy that could be Coco Beware's son. That's how bad it is. The guy he's a midget compared to other wrestlers. He's like 4 foot nothing, maybe 5 feet. Bottom line is, the only reason Adam Rose is going there because the wrestler paid for Adam Rose to come in so he can wrestle. And that's something that when a wrestler has to take money out of his pocket and pretty much pay for a name so he can wrestle for bragging rights, that shows you're a mark. It's a mark. It's like, oh, well, it's not going to further his WWE career. He's not going to get anywhere closer. But he did it just so he can have bragging rights to say, hey, I wrestled Adam Rose.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Now let's. I want to talk about one last thing regarding this, and then we're going to wrap it up. We heard about this. I told you about the story a couple of years ago. We won't name the brand or the person who is irrelevant, but they brought the Rock and Roll Express down for $5,000 for a weekend, and it was down south where they're very popular because that was their demographic. So, but the first night they filled the place, and the other two nights they got nothing. Absolutely nobody. I mean, they were in a bar, and the barflies weren't even looking back. And the Rock and Roll Express, these guys are like 60 years old. And again, it was a mark, and this guy literally lost his home over it. It just shows you again what it is about some promotions that all they care about saying is that oh, we wrestled with this guy, we wrestled with that guy, and wrestlers, especially those who are not in the mainstream, who were once one in the highlight, will go down to those indies and will take that money. And you know what? At the end of the day, it's all about the money, and it's all about itself providing. But from here, we're going to wrap things up. I am your hardcore host, and I want to thank you for listening to this edition of In the Moment. But we also want to know your thoughts. What do you think? Who could be the next manager of SmackDown? Could it be Shane McMahon? Could it be Triple H? Or could it be somebody else that even none of us have talked about? Put your comments in the comments section below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Follow us over at youtube.com/HWR Show. And again, if you want to join in the conversation, say what you want, how the fuck you want to say it, come on over to Facebook and group sections under the name HWR Chat Room. I'd love to thank Joseph Knight for coming on. Joe, what do you got going on?
Well, fans can follow me on Facebook at facebook.com Joseph Knight Manager. You can also follow me on my group, which is DK Retro, which me and Rick are part of. It's facebook.com groups DK Retro. There you go. My brain almost went there. That's too much Dixie Carter. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at JKnightCWA. We're getting things together. We're gonna be bringing back the CWA, so that's gonna come back in September. We got a big show coming up. We're looking to go back to Boonton, New Jersey, or Patterson, New Jersey, one of those locations. So fans, keep in touch, keep following me on Twitter. And Rick, I guess we got a pay-per-view coming up soon, so let's hope that now that Brock Lesnar won his MMA fight, let's hope that he can literally take on Randy Orton and clobber him like he did the other guy he took on, Mark Hunt.
Yeah, well, that show is a farce, but that's another story for another time. So for the Classic Wrestling Manager Joseph Knight, I'm your hardcore host, Rickhead, saying we'll see